Okay, everybody. I wanted to take a few minutes and do a video review and talk about my High Point C9 9mm pistol. I think it's pretty fair to say that this might be the most controversial pistol in the United States today. Um, this gun elicits very, very strong responses from people, and people either love it or they hate it. And some of the people that have the strongest opinions about this gun, I will guarantee you, have never held this gun, let alone shot this gun. And there's all sorts of stuff written about this gun on the internet. And there's not a lot of middle of the ground stuff. There's a lot of strong feelings about this gun. So let's talk a little bit about my my High Point C9. So this gun is pretty new. I've only had it a little while. I paid exactly $198 for this gun, new. So I looked a little bit online at some online sites, and they were selling used for about 160 or 170. And I thought, well, for an extra $30, I may as well buy myself a brand new one. Magazine is empty, gun is safe. Um, you get quite a lot for your money for $198. So for $198, you get the gun itself, you get a trigger lock, pretty standard trigger lock. You get a secondary hand grip. The hand grip is pretty smooth, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And if you want, they've given you this tackier hand grip that you can put on top. It also comes with a ghost ring sight that you can swap out for the back sight on. So I read that the owner of the company felt that as he got older and his vision changed, he shot better with a ghost ring sight. So he made the decision to incorporate a ghost ring sight into every pistol, which I think is actually a pretty cool decision. You get a little bit of a High Point swag, you get a little sticker, you get the instruction manual. There's a safety tab. And I will tell you too that this case comes with it. And I do kind of like it when you get a hard case with a gun. I think, honestly, if you're spending a couple $100 on a pistol, they should really give you a case. And I've bought pistols where, for $400, $500, $600, I got a cardboard box, and I'm not going to lie, that kind of pissed me off. In addition to the pistol itself, again, everything you see here was $198. I did spring exactly $23 for the so-called extended magazine, which in the land of High Point is a 10-round magazine as opposed to a standard single stack 8-round magazine. So this is it. This is my sum total investment in my High Point pistol, about $221. So let's just talk about the gun a little bit. Again, my magazine, like I said, that comes with it is the standard 8-round single stack. The gun is made by High Point Guns in Ohio. I have no financial relationship or any relationship of any kind with High Point. So there's no conflicts there. The first thing you notice about the gun is that it looks different. Like, it genuinely looks different than other 9mm guns on the market. Again, if you own, for example, a couple of striker fire pistols, they all have their own ways of doing things and looking similar to each other. But again, if you fired one striker fire pistol, you pretty much know how to fire all of them, and you kind of understand how the controls work. This gun looks different right off the bat. Some of the controls that you would expect to see, for example, a slide release, right? Usually there's a slide release right there. It's not there. There is this manual sliding safety on the left side. Here's the magazine release, right? Pops right out. And the trigger is also a little bit odd looking. Some have compared the trigger to a water gun. I don't really think it's a fair comparison to compare this to a water gun trigger, but it's a little bit of a different looking trigger. It doesn't use this sort of similar Glock-esque trigger safety mechanism that we're so used to on so many pistols these days. But what really grabs your eye, and what grabbed my eye the first time I saw this at a gun show, was this massive slide. I mean, look at the size of this slide. It is just a beast. It is a beast. And the gun is heavy too. And the gun is heavy because the slide is heavy. And unlike almost every single other gun on the US market these days, this slide is not made of steel, right? This slide is made of Zamac, which is a zinc alloy that's it's a combination of zinc, aluminum, magnesium, and copper. So sort of those initials for those metals are sort of the acronym for Zamac that this slide is made of. And the reason that the slide is made of Zamac and is so heavy is that this is a pure blowback pistol. There's very, very few pure blowback pistols on the market these days, and because of that, the slide has to absorb so much force during the cycling action when you fire the gun that they went with this very, very heavy slide material. They also went with it because it's cheap. And if you read things on the High Point website, like they're very, very upfront about the fact that they are trying to build the gun for as little money as possible so that they can get a good product in the hands of working people. And again, this is a brand new handgun that I bought for $198. So the feel in your hand, right? So that's another thing you notice, right? So right away when you put it in your hand, the gun is very heavy. It weighs in at 29 ounces unloaded. Again, this is a 9. The gun is available in 380, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 45 ACP. Again, I bought the 9. I'm kind of heavily invested in the 9mm caliber. It's heavy, but not in a bad way. Like, it feels very, very solid. Some people have humorously likened it to a brick. It doesn't feel that bad to me. And again, you guys may call me crazy, and that's okay, but I actually like the way this gun looks. I'm just going to say this out there and get it on the record. I like the way the gun looks. And I think one of the most appealing things to me about the gun is that it looks different and it feels different. And if you spend a lot of time at gun ranges, you kind of notice that a lot of stuff is the same, or everybody's kind of ripping off Glock in one way or the other. And this is a genuinely different look, and it's a different feel. I want to show you this. So again, it comes with the 8-round single stack magazine, and when you put in the 10-round magazine, it changes the entire shape of the gun. Look at the difference that is on that extended hand grip just for 2 more rounds, which is really, really atypical in modern striker fire pistols. I've got about an average size hand, and you can see that if I'm holding the pistol, my pinky is pretty much down there at the base of the gun. And again, that's totally comfortable and that's totally fine. There's some grooves from my hand. But if I swap this out for the 10-round magazine, it really completely changes the shape of the gun. And it really does give my hand a lot more room to kind of travel down there. I will say that I think the gun is definitely more comfortable with the 10-round extended magazine. And again, it's a little funny that you call 10 rounds an extended magazine, but I guess that's the way it is. There are serrations on the back of the slide on both sides. None of the controls are ambidextrous. There's nothing on the right side of the pistol, pretty much. It comes with a 3-dot sight, 2 red dots in the back and yellow in the front. You can see that they're pretty well. Again, it does come with that ghost ring sight that you can swap out the rear sight for. The rear sight is adjustable for height and windage. One thing that you notice when you slide the slide all the way back and lock it, right, is the barrel doesn't tip up, right? So when you look at your Glock or other striker fire pistols, typically when the slide is all the way back, you'll notice that the barrel tips up a little bit because, again, that barrel has to be able to move for various reasons, including absorbing some of the force and recoil during the actual firing cycle. But this gun, the barrel, which is in fact steel, does not move, and the barrel is actually fixed to the frame. So if you'll notice there, that barrel is totally just straight on. You can see that I've locked that slide back there with the safety piece. If you look here, it's a little hard to see, but if you look right in there, there is a little a pin. And when you lock the slide back, if you want to field strip the gun, you have to tap out this pin with a hammer and a punch or something similar to knock it out. So this is, a little bit different in the sense that it might be a little hard to field strip if you weren't home with some other tools, whereas most of the guns at the range, you could simply just field strip it out in 2 seconds on your own. That's not so much the case with this gun. So how did it fire? So I'll tell you, when I took it to the range for the first time, I really did not know what to expect. I'd read so much about this. I'd seen so many videos of people showing their high point guns have all sorts of stovepipe jams and nosedive failure to feeds. And there's a million videos people saying that these magazines are terrible. But I'll tell you, when I took it to the range for the first time and I loaded up my first magazine and I pulled the trigger, you know, I really kind of didn't know what to expect. And I was almost half expecting the gun to jam, and it didn't. And it actually ran just fine. And the very, very first time I took it out, I took about 100 rounds through it. I just used standard Winchester 9mm 115 grain ammo through it. I didn't have a single jam or a single misfire. And it was sort of interesting to me because, again, you know, the gun doesn't always have the best reputation when it comes to jamming and things like that. And again, you know, it certainly could jam tomorrow. But again, the first decent number of rounds I put through it, I didn't have a single misfire or a single jam. It's got quite a kick, and I will tell you, I was expecting actually less kick because it's so heavy, even especially with the 10-round magazine in it. I was expecting less kick. I thought, oh, the big heavy frame will absorb it all, but it really did sort of like slap back in my hand pretty hard, and it kind of bruised up my hand just a little bit back there. And again, maybe because I wasn't quite sure what I was expecting, but I will definitely say that I felt like it had more kick than I was expecting. I thought the sights were okay, not as good as, for example, the sights on a Glock. And again, people get all up in arms if you talk about the sights on the Glock, if you like them, or if you don't, drop in the bucket and all that business. But I thought the sight picture was not quite as good as what I was used to on a Glock, but it was certainly pretty darn accurate, and I was getting good groupings at 5, 10, and 15 yards. Probably not as good as I might get on a more expensive pistol, but again, for $198, certainly totally acceptable and more than enough to make me feel like I was happy. Am I going to have a jam in this gun at some point? I'm sure that I am. And I've watched all the videos online. Some people talk about polishing the feed ramp or making some slight adjustments to the magazines to help the gun operate better and jam less. And again, if it comes to that, I'm more than happy to do that. But again, the first couple times I've taken it out, I really haven't had any troubles. And again, that first time I took it out, put 100 rounds through it and not one single misfire or trouble. And again, I haven't had any trouble yet. But again, if I do, am I going to cry home about it? No. Other nice things about this pistol, it does have a lifetime warranty on all parts, and that's not for the owner, that's for the gun. So if you sell it to somebody else, the warranty travels with the gun. You can send it back to High Point, and they will handle it for you, either fix it or they will even send you a new gun, is what I've read and seen people talk about online. So, you know, here we are at the end. Just want to say that I'm pretty happy I bought this. I really have no regrets at this point, and so far the gun has performed flawlessly. You know, I think for $198, you really get quite a lot. And again, do I expect it to run like a Glock 19, right, or a SIG P320? No, but I expect it to run like a High Point C9 for $198, which so far, I got to tell you, has been pretty damn good. So again, I'm glad I bought it and I'm proud to own it. And I think a lot of the vitriol against this gun is just totally misplaced. And I would say if you're one of the people who's, you know, pissed all over this gun and ranted and raved about it, but has never actually fired one, I would try it out, see if you can get your hands on one, take it to the range, and give it a try. You might be surprised. I know that I was. I bought this gun never having fired it, and again, I've been really, really pleasantly surprised with it. So, again, junk or gem, I would definitely say $198 gem. So, thanks, guys. Leave us some comments and let me know what you think of your High Point C9s. Thanks.